Hello, and welcome back to episode 2 of Scriv Sports Show. Baseball is back! After 3 long months of waiting, and more waiting, the 2022 MLB season is here. But, after all the off-season free agency additions and trades, how do the teams stack up against each other? Well, let's get right into it with my 2022 MLB opening days / early season power rankings. Number 30, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh fans have to hope that their young guys turn out well because there is not much else to like about this team. You know you're in trouble if Jose Quintana is your opening day starter. Brian Reynolds is an up-and-coming superstar, which is great for bringing fans to the stands. But if he continues his ascent into superstardom, the Pirates try and trade him with his value at an all-time high, and this team's still a few years away from potentially competing. If they do, this will be by far the worst team in baseball, barring any surprise breakouts. Number 29, the Arizona Diamondbacks. So you signed an aging reliever in Mark Melancon, and that's it? You know you weren't very good last year, right? One reliever isn't going to all of a sudden make this a competitive team. At least Ketel Marte will be fun to watch for however much longer he's a D-back. Number 28, the Baltimore Orioles. This is the year all Oriole fans have been waiting for. All the young guys should get plenty of looks this year. Adley Rutschman, DL Hall, eventually Grayson Rodriguez, plus ace John Means and breakout star Cedric Mullins. This team is still not going to be very good, especially in the hyper-competitive AL East. They're going to be the punching bag. But this should be a good season to determine what they have in their young guys and where to go from here next offseason. This is the next step in what has been a long rebuild in Baltimore. Number 27, the Oakland Athletics. The fire sale has begun, and the A's will be one of the worst teams in baseball as they begin their rebuild. I think there's still enough talent on this roster with Montas, Kemp, and Murphy for them to be competitive in the first half, but after the trade deadline, I expect the A's to be the worst team in baseball. A projected competitive first half is all that is keeping them from being any lower on this list. Number 26, the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds, at this point, are the NL version of the A's, trading away all their stars and loading up for the future while retaining enough talent to still be competitive for the first half of the season. Joey Votto is still around and will continue to do Joey Votto things. If Luis Castillo can bounce back, that could be another trade piece to get more prospects in their attempt to rebuild for the future. Man, I feel bad for Joey Votto. Dude deserves so much better. Number 25, the Colorado Rockies. So you added Chris Bryant. Did you do anything else? No? Congrats, Colorado. You're right back to where you started. You didn't get any better, but you didn't get any worse. You just moved laterally. Okay, that's not entirely true. They did sign, check notes, Chad Kuhl, Jose Iglesias, and traded for Randall Grichuk. That's, something, I guess. At least the battle for last place in the NL West should be a fun mess of baseball between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Number 24, the Washington Nationals. Hey, you got Juan Soto at least, one of the best players in baseball. A full season of Keibert Ruiz and Josiah Gray, along with top prospect Cade Cavalli, debuting later this year, hopefully, should be good to see where the Nats are. Juan Soto will be fun to watch, but I can't say the same for the rest of this lineup. Steven Strasburg's not rushing back from his injury, and honestly, he shouldn't. This team isn't good. It's not going to be good for a while, so there's no need to rush back to a team vying for a top draft pick rather than a playoff spot. Number 23, the Kansas City Royals. Greinke is back home, Bobby Witt Jr. is here, and Adalberto Mondesi is healthy. This is a very young roster, so this season should just be seen as a year to get these guys experience and evaluate who, if any, of these young guys will be the future of the franchise. Number 22, the Detroit Tigers. Javier Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez, the big free agent splashes. Spencer Torkelson's debut, full seasons from the young arms in the rotation, Spencer Turnbull and Casey Mize, and a season to build upon in rookie sensation Akili Badu. A lot to like with this team. Definitely moving in the right direction. Still a year or two away from really competing with the top dogs of the American League. Number 21, the Chicago Cubs. This Cubs team could probably be like 2 spots higher, but I just have a feeling they're going to underperform already low expectations for the year. They added Marcus Stroman and top Japanese free agent Seiya Suzuki, as well as outfielder Clint Frazier, but I don't know if that'll be enough. Ian Happ is good, Patrick Wisdom broke out last year, and Wilson Contreras is good but may get traded at some point. I just have too many concerns with their rotation and bullpen to have any confidence in this team. Number 20, the Cleveland Guardians. New name, same old Cleveland. Great pitching, non-existent offense. Okay, that's not entirely true. They have Jose Ramirez, who just signed a 5-year extension. He can be the entire offense, right? Shane Bieber is going to strike out like everybody, and the rest of their rotation's going to follow suit. The bullpen I'm not as confident in, but still should be decent, but decent isn't going to make up for what will amount to an incredibly lackluster offense. Lots of low-scoring games in Cleveland's future. Number 19, the Texas Rangers. Well, the Rangers will be fun this year, at least. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien provide a lot of pop right there in the middle of that lineup. John Gray is an upgrade in the rotation, but everyone else leaves a lot to be desired. The Rangers are going to need their big offseason acquisitions to play well if they want this to be a quick rebuild. Number 18, Miami Marlins. Interesting offseason moves from Miami have me quite clueless on this team, to be honest. So many questions. Are they a dark horse playoff team, or are they still a year away? Is Sandy Alcantara the next great Marlins ace? What can Sixto Sanchez give them? Can Jazz Chisholm Jr. emerge as the star on this team? If the answer to all those questions is yes, then I think the Marlins are just about there. If not, maybe next year? Number 17, the Los Angeles Angels. Trout's back and can finally play a full season with MLB Network's number 1 player, Shohei Ohtani. Plus, the Angels actually went out and got a pitcher, and a good one at that, in Noah Syndergaard, plus a couple others, but the big headline is Noah Syndergaard. Another dark horse playoff team that I don't think has the depth to carry them to the playoffs if the injury bug bites, but can definitely be in contention if it stays away. Number 16, the Minnesota Twins. I don't know what to make of this Twins team. They downgraded at catcher from Mitch Garver to Gary Sanchez. Made, in my opinion, a lateral move at third base from Josh Donaldson to Gio Urshela, though Gio is cheaper and younger. They downgraded at pitcher from Jose Barrios to Sonny Gray, but upgraded at shortstop with Carlos Correa over Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. They're going to be a dark horse playoff team, especially if Byron Buxton can play at least most of a full season. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see the Twins hover right around 500 and miss the playoffs. Number 15, the Philadelphia Phillies. This is the best Phillies team since 2009, in my opinion. They added a couple of bats to help that struggling offense from last year in Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. If Bryce Harper can continue his MVP-esque performances and Aaron Nola can bounce back from a down season, I see playoffs in Philly's near future. Number 14, San Diego Padres. Losing Tatis Jr. for 3 months is definitely going to suck, but they should be able to manage. They have a lot of talent on this roster and got better with the trades for Sean Manaea and Luke Voigt. With Mike Clevenger coming back later this season and an already good bullpen, as long as they can stay healthy, the Padres should make a run at a playoff spot. Number 13, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Pujols farewell tour. I don't expect him to be a major contributor on this team, but it will be a bittersweet season for him and the Cardinals. The big three that led them to the World Series title in 2011 are reunited for the last time. Adam Wainwright and Jose Molina are also getting up there in age. Could this be their last season too? Jack Flaherty is almost healthy again, and this lineup is still really good. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, and Tyler O'Neill lead the way in what should be yet another playoff appearance for the Cardinals. How far they go is another question entirely. Number 12, San Francisco Giants. Well, last year was a surprise, wasn't it? 107 wins from that team, and with most of that team returning with a few differences. Carlos Rodon instead of Kevin Gausman, and no Chris Bryant. 107 wins will be really hard to repeat, but if they can continue what they started last year, 90 wins and a playoff appearance is not out of the question. Number 11, the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners might be the most underrated team in baseball. And that's after coming off a 90-win season and nearly making the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. With the additions of Robbie Ray, Eugenio Suarez, and Jesse Winker, plus the debut of Julio Rodriguez and a full season of Jason Kelenic, this might be the best Mariners team since the turn of the century. Don't be surprised when the current longest playoff drought in North American professional sports ends this year. Number 10, the Boston Red Sox. Boston has assembled one of the best infields and just one of the best lineups in the league. Scoring runs is going to come easy for them, which is good since I have no faith in most of their pitching staff. Especially with Sal missing the start of the season, who's their number 2 after Nathan Eovaldi? Number 9, the Atlanta Braves. The reigning World Series champions are just as good as they were last year. Acuna Jr. will be coming back. Matt Olson replacing Freddie Freeman at first isn't as much of a downgrade, and it still makes his infield elite. Add to the fact that they already have a great bullpen, along with Mike Soroka coming back in that rotation. This team is damn good, and they're a guaranteed playoff team. Number 8, the New York Yankees. I honestly have no idea what to make of this team. One could easily put them in the top 5, or barely in the top 20, with reasonable arguments for both. On paper, this lineup should crush baseballs while also having gotten better defensively. But this roster also got older. So was last year just a fluke or a sign of things to come? Hicks is back, Severino is back, catcher has been upgraded, and they added some speed. So maybe this is the start of a new era of Yankees baseball. Or is it all just a facade and back to business as usual? Number 7, the New York Mets. The Mets made moves this offseason. Max Scherzer, Starling Marte, Eduardo Escobar, Chris Bassett, and manager Buck Showalter. On paper, this is one of the best teams in baseball. But this is the Mets, so anything is possible. Just look at last year. They were leading the NL East and looked poised for a playoff run. Then the brakes fell off and they ended the season under 500. But by all accounts, this year should be different. If their stars can stay healthy, they could easily lead the way in a competitive NL East. Number 6, the Milwaukee Brewers. Arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. They have a fantastic rotation with Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta, and a fantastic bullpen led by Josh Hader and Devin Williams. Christian Yelich is finally healthy and they added Andrew McCutchen. But will that be enough to lift the offense? Is Yelich ever going to be even a fraction of the player the Brewers traded for? Lots of questions on offense and no clear answers just yet. But this pitching staff is so good, they might not even need the offense to do much. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Rays. I can't not put them high up on this list. Every year, they find a way to take a bunch of no-name players and win 95-plus games and make a deep playoff run. This year's not going to be any different. Even with trading Austin Meadows to the Tigers, this team is still going to be really good. This is Wander Franco's year in Tampa Bay. Number 4, the Houston Astros. Even with the losses of Carlos Correa and Zach Greinke, this is still a dangerous lineup. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Michael Brantley, Yordan Alvarez, Yuli Gurriel. Plus, with Verlander finally healthy, this is one of the premier teams in the American League. Number 3, the Chicago White Sox. Trading away Craig Kimbrell and losing Carlos Rodon to free agency, but somehow this team might be better than they were last year. Dylan Cease is primed for a breakout season. The entire lineup is fully healthy and as dangerous as ever. Lance Lynn's going to miss some time, but will be the ace of this staff once he returns. In the meantime, Lucas Giolito is more than capable of leading the staff and cruising to another AL Central title. Number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays. They made so many great offseason moves. Lose Robbie Ray, add Kevin Gausman. Lose Marcus Semien, add Kevin Biggio. Obviously not the same caliber of player, but still pretty good. Vlad Jr. is Vlad Jr. and will continue to be great in the middle of that lineup. Add in a full season of George Springer, and this is one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. And finally, number one, I think it's pretty obvious at this point, but if not, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are the best team in baseball. There's not much else to say. Elite pitching, an elite infield, a great outfield, 4 former MVPs on this team. Need I say more? I do? Okay. The outfield might be the weakest part of this team, but if Cody Bellinger can bounce back from his admittedly terrible 2021, I don't see any glaring holes on this team. Good luck to the rest of the MLB. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed what I hope amounted to coherent sentences about all the MLB teams. I'll try and have episode 3 out sooner than I did episode 2. It'll probably be another baseball episode because it's that time of year. But in the meantime, baseball is back. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and enjoy a ball game.